Welcome back to The Person Everyone Needs. I'm your host, Webb Hoggard, and today I'm going to try to take a little bit different speed on the podcast. I talk often about trying to help equip you to be the person that everyone needs, but there are some people that need you more than others. And in the midst of trying to be there for everyone else, let us not ever abandon the ones who need us most. I'm sitting here at my kitchen table. My sons will bust through the door in just a few minutes after getting out of school, and I'm looking at a picture of my youngest boy when he was a baby. He was, just the bluest eyes, the biggest grin. He laughs unlike any of my other kids. I guess it's a typical baby child thing that he just is cuter to me. I don't know if I've got more patience or just the fact that he's the last that just, I don't know. I wish I could keep him there a little bit. He also is typical baby child. He does not move when I ask him to move. He does not do what I ask him to do. In a lot of ways, he is, still a baby, even though he's about to be 6 years old. But I'm a pastor of a church. Anytime I get that phone call or text message, I'm ready to run and help and be there. We run a couple of ministries out of the church that take up a lot of time. I would also like to have influence on pastors in the area. I want to be able to serve in the district anytime our district leadership is asking for it, and I have served in different capacities. I've moved back home, and so I'm close to aunts and uncles, and my grandmother is alive, and I get to spend time with her from time to time. And my wife's family moved to my hometown, and they moved here from Arizona, and also her brother moved from West Virginia, and I am like abundantly blessed to have every family member that I know is right here close. But beyond that, I have so many friends, so many connections, so much purpose that is just all around me. I am near every one of my nephews and nieces. My sister lives here. My brother-in-law lives here. I can't tell you what a blessing it is. But in the midst of all of the blessings of my life and wanting to fulfill the call that God has given me in this world and wanting to grow and build up a church that it made me, I'm so blessed to be the pastor there. I want to see the school that I attended, and now I get to kind of lead. I want to see all of these things get better and bigger and stronger and more beautiful and more redemptive and forever and ever. I want to see them greater. I want people in the community to know that they could call me and that I'll be there. But I have to remind myself, there will always be more I can do outside my house, but nobody is going to husband my wife, and nobody is going to father my boys. The scary part about that is, if you choose not to do those things, which is your highest calling, take care of your spouse, take care of your children, take care of your family. Sadly, there are times that others end up taking that spot because you did not give it the focus you needed. I'm not saying that, listen, I don't know what situation you're in, and that is a little bit reductive. I'm not saying that everybody's situation is that way. But I will say that it does motivate me to make sure I do whatever I can. I don't want anybody else's voice to be as strong as mine in that little baby's life. I told you, I'm looking at him at the little baby picture here. He's almost 6 years old, so he's not a baby anymore, but I don't want anybody else's voice to matter more. I don't want his children's pastor to matter more. I don't want his teacher's voice to matter more. I don't even want his mama's voice to matter more than me. I want to make sure that I have put in the time I can in this relationship, because no one else can do this. In pursuit of being the person that everyone needs, don't forget that there are some persons that need you. In fact, you could be their everything. And if I fail to pastor somebody appropriately, that won't leave near the hole that it will if I don't choose to father my boys appropriately. And if I choose not to be at every political meeting that happens in the community, I would love to have the influence at each one of those places. But if my seat is always empty at those things, yet the seat at my family table is filled because I want to prioritize my family, that's the people that need me the most. When I say to be the person that everyone needs, I don't mean that you need to run around and be as useful as you can to everyone. I mean, become the type of person that could help anyone whenever they need it, but never neglect the ones who need you the most. I've recently been watching a family that's going through a mother passing. They're just a little bit older than me. The children are a little older than me, and they've seen, their mother's passed, and my heart breaks for them. I've watched our church respond so beautifully. They've come around, they've taken meals, they've prayed, they've spent time, they've listened, they've done anything they can to make things work, and it's just been a beautiful thing to watch all these relationships bloom up. But what I'll say is, those kids today, there is a major hole in their life. They loved their mother. We all loved their mother, but none of us loved their mother the way they do. And she was very important to me. In fact, she was a principal at a school when I was growing up. So I got to spend many hours with her, but I didn't get to spend as many as her kids. She was always very generous with me, but she was not as generous with me as she was her own children. I got to be blessed by her relationship and her kindness and the joy that she brought. And she was also a very administrative person, so even she had gifts that I got to be blessed in my life with because she was so fervent in it. Yet her kids got to see all of that more, and that's the right way. That's the right thing. If you have gifts that you are willing to use outside the house, but your own family doesn't get to enjoy it, you might need to change your priorities. No one should get a better version of you than your house. Your parents, no one should receive more honor than your parents. No one should receive more attention than your children. No one should receive more of who you are than your spouse. I just don't want to spend another day trying to become significant to another person if I haven't taken my first calling, my first ministry, as important as it is. No one will sit in my chair. And if I don't sit in it, then that's going to leave a gap in those who are looking to me. No one can lead our church. That's the seat I sit in. I have a group of people who help me, but nobody else can lead it. I am the person called to that. If I look to someone else to try to take that spot, then I have vacated the seat that I've been called to. When I've run out to make sure that people don't have anything to whine about or complain or say, then sometimes I vacate the very call of what I've been brought here to do. If I try to become an influencer in the district or in the community at the behest of our own church family, then I am vacating the seat that I've been called to come and fill. I have to make sure that when I have a great vision for my life and I want to be very influential with many people, I have to make sure that I always keep myself firmly planted in the most important seats. The first seat that I have to prioritize every single day is the chair of a child of God. I cannot go a day without speaking, without praying, without reading. Nothing in my identity is more important than the attention I give God in my life every day. Secondly, Amanda is my first ministry. My wife is the most important person in my entire life. I give her my attention. I do all that I can to help her through the difficulties of her day and the trials of her life, even though I am probably the biggest trial in her life. Number 3 is my boys. All 3 of my boys, I want to give them the best I have. We've had a few weeks of tough ministry, and a few nights ago I wanted to do some study. I needed to study for another talk that I was getting ready to have, but I realized I hadn't really looked at my boys in the eyes. Like, there's been several days. So I just laid in the floor, and these 3 boys who are getting big, 10, 7, and 6, I mean, they are pumped. They're almost 7 and 6, pummeling me. I mean, kicking me. My sneaky youngest son goes and stands on my knee, on the side of my knee, trying to rip my ACL out of place or something. I don't know, but they are just hounding me, beating the snot out of me, and I took it as long as I could, and I hugged them, and I played with them, and I tickled them, and then I got up out of my chair, and one of them wanted to sit in my lap, but I just knew that night I didn't want to spend another hour getting ready for another talk. I needed to see these boys. I needed to look in their eyes. I needed to tell them that they matter. I needed to give them the attention that, being their father, that they deserve to have from me. I needed to give them that minute. And then after that, there's a lot of other seats. I have to, from day to day, decide which one is most important, being the pastor or being the preacher, being the counselor at the school, being the one who handles things in the community. Listen, that's all work-related, right? But on top of that, my mom and dad live close to me. In fact, I get to see my mom almost every day, but I want to invest in these relationships. I'm so blessed to have them. My father-in-law and mother-in-law are some of the most special people I've ever known. I love them. They are wise, they are kind, they are helpful, they are generous, but they won't always be here, so I want to make sure I honor them. My grandmother is one of the sweetest people I've ever known. She cooked me collards a couple weeks ago. Man, that they weren't delicious. I don't know what. And I get to have that. And I want to continue to invest in these relationships while I have them. But where does that fall on the priority line? Well, when they call, I'm there. When people in the church call, I do the best I can to be there. When families grieve, like I was just telling you, I want to be there for that. When we have big opportunities to move into the community and make great change, I want us to be faithful to do every one of those things. And so in my life, I have to make sure that I'm prioritizing appropriately because I do want to be the person that everyone needs. But there's some people that need me more. And the truth is, out of the joy and the health of rightly balancing your personal life, you can become the person everyone needs from that place. And there's nothing that will crush your influence on everyone else like the diminishing value of not having your priorities right. A few years ago, there was a Christian author. It was a girl that was writing a bunch of books, and everybody was buying her books, and she was telling women how to live. She was telling them what they ought to do, and don't be apologetic, and just go out there and get your life or whatever. And so she had all these books out about telling how people to live, including, I believe there was a marriage book she put out, and then she got a divorce. And for me, I was just thinking, what a heartbreak. I didn't like her to begin with. Beyond that, she wanted to be influential all over the world, but she didn't care to keep attention in her marriage. I'm not saying it's her fault. Look, there are circumstances. I don't know. I'm just saying, what a shame to gain influence over the world, but lose those who are the closest to your heart. Keep your eyes on the things that matter the most. Put God first, spouse second, family third, job after that. Make sure you prioritize the people that matter most. And that's the person that everyone needs.